The WWE has had a long history and has featured some of the greatest names and faces in professional wrestling. WWE is a pinnacle of the wrestling business, and not everyone can reach it. Those who do have pretty much accomplished everything they need to do in the wrestling world and can move on and do other things. In this video, we catch up with some of those wrestlers and see what they're doing now. We'll start with the most recent legend to retire from the company, The Undertaker. In many ways, the history of The Undertaker is the history of the WWE itself. Having been pretty much at ground zero of the company, he saw it through its gods and titans roots, then through the attitude and ruthless aggression eras, all the way to the modern age. Even now, only a year and a half have passed since his retirement, which really shows how much he was a part of this company's legacy. While he hasn't really gotten into an alternate career yet, post-retirement, he's been doing some interesting things. He sat down with Sean Evans to eat some burning hot chicken wings. He hyped up Pitbull for some reason, and he's done podcasts with Joe Rogan and fellow retiree Stone Cold. He hasn't distanced himself too far from the WWE itself, seeing as how he made a few appearances on their programming around his acceptance of the Hall of Fame. There are two big things that Undertaker fans will want to check out. First is his episode of Most Wanted Treasures. Well, it isn't just his episode, as he joins fellow Brother of Destruction Kane going through their old ring gear, props, and other memorabilia from their time in the WWE. The other one is the interactive Netflix movie Escape the Undertaker. Casting you as the trio of the New Day, you navigate the haunted house of horrors that is Undertaker's mansion apparently. It's about as good as you'd expect, yet somehow perfectly in line with the WWE and their vibe. Speaking of the Brothers of Destruction, Kane has been keeping himself really busy. Of course, he doesn't go by the name Kane anymore. He's fully entrenched in American politics now, and he's currently serving as the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. His involvement in politics began way back in his bald and shirtless days in 2008, when he supported Ron Paul for president and worked for the Free State Project. In 2018, the politicians of Knox County were startled by an explosion of flames and the spooky sound of slow chemical as Glenn Jacobs made his entry into the mayoral race. That's how politics work, right? By the time the ref rang the bell, he had defeated his Democrat opponent, Linda Haney, by a pretty fair margin. As mayor, Jacobs has held the Republican Party line on pretty much every issue he's ever spoken out on. In 2019, he criticized the impeachment of President Donald Trump over the Ukraine scandal, and in 2020, he voted against his own Board of Health on the issue of mask mandates. On masks, he was concerned about government overreach. That vote led to a feud between him and the board, which he ended by chokeslamming the board and convincing the Knox County Commission to restrict their powers from April 2020 to March 2021. So how's Kane doing as the mayor of Knox County? Well, that's for the voters to decide, and they voted him into a second term as mayor back in August. Meanwhile, Booker T has tried to build his future in the pro wrestling business. Booker is special because he isn't just a WWE legend, but a WCW legend too. His unique personality and character allowed him to stick around in the company through the Invasion era and hold basically every title belt that the WWE has to offer, from the Intercontinental and United States Championships all the way to the top prize of his era, the World Heavyweight Belt. His retirement planning started way back in 2005 as he launched his own wrestling promotion in Houston. It was dubbed the Pro Wrestling Alliance, but rebranded in 2012 to Reality of Wrestling. ROW came dangerously close to shutting down in 2013, but it was given a shot in the arm by businessman Hilton Koch. Yes, that Koch. As of February 2020, Booker has come out of retirement and is doing more frequent matches at ROW. Booker T wrestles the occasional match in Reality of Wrestling, but he's never truly left the WWE behind. You can often catch him doing pre-shows and kickoff shows before the Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-views. He's also done commentary on a few WWE programs, and he isn't averse to making the odd cameo. So while we suckers may no longer be able to dig it, we can at least be glad that we have some Booker in our lives yet. Next, we weren't going to do a WWE Legends video without the Hitman Bret Hart. Although Bret Hart was one of the defining faces of the WWE in his time at the company, he didn't exactly leave on the best of terms. He already resented Vince McMahon for how he handled the in-ring death of his brother Owen, and then of course, there was the Montreal Screwjob. Bret's relationship with the company after quitting can be a whole video by itself. After the Screwjob, Hart stayed in WCW pretty much until Vince bought that promotion out in 2000. By the time this happened, the injuries that Bret suffered throughout his career were taking their toll on him, and he officially retired from wrestling in October 2000. Things got worse from there though. He suffered a stroke in 2002 that left him wheelchair-bound for a while, which took him out of the wrestling business entirely for around a year. He made sporadic appearances after that, including reconciling with Vince and Shawn Michaels on TV. There was one more thing left in store for him with regards to his health, a prostate cancer diagnosis in 2016. He was able to beat the cancer though, which makes him a lot luckier than most. Bret Hart has disappeared from public view in the past half-decade. He's spending more time with his family now in a peaceful retirement. He used to brag that he was the best there will ever be, and we think that he's proven that tenfold. Speaking of Shawn Michaels, what has he been up to? The Heartbreak Kid is more than just just a legendary wrestler. He was an integral part of the company's fabric since almost the beginning. Whether you agree with him on his cuteness or sexiness, you can't deny that the man really put everything on the line and gave the WWE everything he had. We imagine that retiring Shawn was the hardest thing The Undertaker ever had to do in his career, and that match at WrestleMania 26 was super emotional. After the retirement, Michaels made a few more appearances at the WWE, the most memorable of which was serving as special referee for Triple H's WrestleMania 28 bout against The Undertaker. These days, Michaels has become involved with NXT. No surprise there, as it's the pet project of his best friend, Triple H. This started with him training wrestlers at the Performance Center before becoming a writer and producer for the black and gold version of the brand in 2018. When Tripp suffered a critical heart condition in 2021, Michaels took his role in running the NXT shows, about the same time as Vince took the opportunity to do his NXT 2.0 rebrand. Nowadays, of course, Triple H is basically in charge of the WWE's day-to-day operations, and Michaels is still there to help his brother out. In other words, the man has gone from breaking hearts in the WWE ring to being partly in charge of the ring. That's quite the career progression. Finally, we turn to one of the most legendary female wrestlers in WWE history, Trish Stratus. There was a time when the women of the WWE were presented in a very bizarre and misogynistic way, and that arguably became much worse during the Ruthless Aggression era. Things are much different now, and a lot of the credit for that should go to Trish Stratus, who showed the WWE universe of the time that women can wrestle just as well as the men. She retired after a relatively short career, but she's named as an inspiration by loads of women who came to the WWE later. Two of the four horsewomen, Sasha Banks and Bayley, name her as a big inspiration. Before joining the wrestling business, Trish's background was in fitness modeling, and she's returned to the fitness world in her post-wrestling career. In 2008, she opened a yoga studio called Stratosphere, because of course she called it that. Located in a Toronto suburb, it claims to be Canada's largest eco-friendly yoga studio and has won awards throughout its existence. That being said, she isn't totally opposed to making the occasional wrestling appearance. She was a surprise entrant in the 2018 Royal Rumble, and she competed at the All-Women's Evolution event that year. Next, she went toe-to-toe with Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam 2019. That's it for today's video. Which of these WWE legends was your favorite when they were in the game? And which legends do you think we missed out on? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't ride off into the sunset without liking, sharing, or subscribing.